The first Saw movie constantly bounces around near the top of my all-time favorite movies list, and it's fairly safe in the top 10 for the foreseeable future. I've always felt such a strong connection to this film, even from a young age, and I wouldn't be the same person without it. I almost can't put it into words how I feel about this film, but as you can see, I'm going to try. I'm going to start with a mostly spoiler-free segment to sell you on it if somehow you stumbled across this video without ever having watched it before. But do yourself a favor, go watch it. If you even just stop after the first one, you'll leave with a much more positive experience overall. Or you could let some faceless internet loser tell you all about it in far too much detail. That works too. After almost 2 whole decades, the first Saw still holds up today. It does what every horror film should do, and that's scare you. Get your blood pumping. It never goes for the cheap scares like a lot of horror films these days tend to. It builds up suspense and tension higher and higher, leading to a genuinely surprising and scary conclusion. Even if some of the trepidation wears off after so many viewings, you can't deny how amazing the story is. As strong as the scares are, it's the story that makes this so memorable. Not only is it original, but it's pretty damn unpredictable. It builds its story, cleverly hinting at intricate clues from the thrills and chills of the first half, and then delving into a truly batshit second half, which concludes in a shocking and unforgettable ending. With each successive viewing, you seek out more and more of these clues to see what you might have missed, and you'll be surprised to see what you find. This film delivers on what it says it's going to do, while sprinkling in layers upon layers of things that separate it from other horror films. In that, it's not really a horror film. It's a psychological crime thriller, just with a bit of gore. And even then, the gore is actually quite minimal, but when it does occur, it's handled excellently. And with the way the movie's shot, the blood red hues really stand out against the washed out backgrounds. The production values are very high, especially when you take into consideration that it had a relatively low budget, and the fusion of fast editing, visual style, and music score all seem to go naturally hand in hand. This is one of those movies where you look back and actually think you've seen more than what was shown on screen, and it proves that even the simplest story, when handled correctly, can pack a punch. Saw is a true classic of modern horror, and it went on to spawn 9 sequels, with another one on the way, but also become an inspiration for a lot of other movies that followed it. And most of that hinges on the brilliance of director James Wan and writer Leigh Whannell. Leigh Whannell's masterfully written screenplay takes you through this suspenseful game of life and death, allowing you to collect small pieces of information, but only enough to leave you feeling confused and searching for that next hint that could come at any second. And the characters are incredibly well visualized, and special mentions have to go out to Cary Elwes and Leigh Whannell, as they work so well together in their lead roles. Their desperation in their performances adds to the building of the tension that you feel with each passing second. The story moves along incredibly well, and you could really feel the anguish growing in all the characters as things progress, right up until the climax that left a lot of the movie's audiences reeling in their seats. The dialogue exchanges are well written and give out little bits and pieces of information at a decent pace, but the information given comes from every character from many different situations, so that it doesn't just surround one particular partnership or individual, but many instead. In a greater observation of the dialogue exchange in some cases, it almost has an atmosphere similar to Lost, from the aspect that we're stuck in this situation and have no idea how we got here, or who's in control. In other cases, it has completely different atmosphere and different deliverance. Just for an example, one character is completely adamant that what he's doing is correct, and it's fascinating to see the levels that they'll go down to. The atmosphere throughout is intoxicating, and it separates you from your own life into the character's way of life. Excellent work from every character that was involved in this film, and excellent atmosphere control. James Wan treats his audience with respect, and has us put together the pieces in this puzzle of a film. It's one of the main aspects that I really love about this film. While the later installments built upon the reputation of torture porn, Wan and Whannell set out to make a horror mystery. It's a slow burn at first, but once the mystery starts to unfold, you can't look away from this masterpiece. The alternative artistic temperament is gruesomely superb, yet with this elegance of real detail and sophistication on their scene construction. They unknowingly started a franchise with one of, if not the best horror villains, and what they accomplished on their budget should be lauded. I think I'd be doing a disservice to you if I didn't divulge a little bit on our titular character, or what would come to be. Jigsaw, as he becomes known later, is a killer, despite what he and some other questionable people may lead you to believe. He doesn't directly kill, but sets his guinea pigs up in these death traps to test their will to live. To me, it's much like the perverse prisoner's dilemma from The Dark Knight. All the scenarios ask people to do unthinkable things, to make choices between a horrible death or an even more horrible but brief experience before having their life saved. Although, in every case, the experience is something that they'll have to live with for the rest of it. The film in that way allows itself to become philosophical, as it explores the relationship between our values and what is essentially a type of Glaucon scenario. In Plato's Republic, Glaucon proposes that the most virtuous person is one who chooses the good even when it only leads to their suffering. The challenge was to see whether it could make sense that the good is worth choosing, even in such a malicious context. In Saw, the scenario is even worse, to put far from virtuous people in the Glaucon scenario and ask them to aspire to the good or die. I do put good in quotes there because the good choice in each case is in itself some kind of evil, hacking away at your leg with a rusty saw or killing another person. To put all this in a locked room is the perfect environment for such exploration, especially when by the end the room stays locked. Once the extremely improbable ending comes, any viewer will feel sucker punched in what I believe resembles any David Fincher film, but probably most notably Seven, with a hint of Takashi Miike. Which doesn't detract that, for the most part, it's a claustrophobic, depressing, bleak film, filled with a growing sense of stomach-turning dread as the omnipresence of an unseen killer comes through, making it known that anybody could be killed at any given moment, if his plans are not carried out to his satisfaction. And with that, let's play a game. What makes Saw so great is that there's no melodramatic lead-in. This film quite literally throws you straight into the middle of the story, and doesn't let go until the final frame. We open on a man underwater, only being illuminated by this floating light. Once he realizes he could use some air to live, he thrashes back to consciousness, accidentally pulling the plug underneath, leading the light to sink into the drain. He pulls himself out of the tub, only to find that his leg is chained up to the pipes in the corner. He hears a disembodied voice in the darkness. Somebody's there with him. The other man turns on the lights, blinding our already disoriented protagonist. They find themselves in this dingy, grotesque bathroom, with a dead man and a pool of blood in the center. So, basically the cleanest bathroom in LA. The dead man's holding a revolver in his left hand, and a tape player in the right. Our first protagonist starts begging for help while viciously yanking at his chain. Wait, what's his name again?
My name is very fucking confused. What's your name?
Oh, right. Well, at least the other guy's taking this seriously. This is Dr. Lawrence Gordon. He tries to figure out how he and Very Fucking Confused ended up in this place, but much to his chagrin, neither remember much, other than that
I went to bed in my shithole apartment and woke up in an actual shithole.
Hey, come on now, it's not that bad. Yeesh. Okay, yeah, you're right. Very Fucking Confused starts looking around for any surgical wounds, believing maybe his organs were harvested. But Gordon assures him that that's not the case, because if it were, he'd be dead. You know how he knows this? That's right, he's a surgeon. Very Fucking Confused's name is really Adam, played by the writer Lee Winnell, while Gordon and his inconsistent transatlantic accent come from the brilliant Cary Elwes. And they really are the driving point of the plot, for the most part. While the characters start as mere stereotypes, they grow to be more nuanced and you don't really want to see them die like you would in a normal slasher movie. When the camera's on Cary Elwes' character, it's very still and calm, just like his character is trying to be. Then when it's on Lee Winnell's character, it's very shaky and in your face, mimicking how his character is losing his mind as to why he's there. And I absolutely love these small style choices that visually tell the story that's being played out. Gordon looks up and sees a ticking clock, reading 10:21. AM or PM, we don't really know, and neither do they. But the fact that the clock still works in this shithole must be important. While Gordon checks the door, Adam checks his pockets, and finds a bagged envelope with a little tape inside that says "Play Me." This leads Gordon to check his pockets as well, and finds his envelope too. He also has the tape, plus a key and one single bullet. But unfortunately for him, the key doesn't unlock his shackle. Adam asks him to throw the key over in case it works for his, in probably the most Skyrim NPC way possible.
Throw it over here.
But no luck either. But they do notice the dead guy has the tape player they need, so Adam MacGyver's a way to grab it using his t-shirt and the plug from the tub. Following the film rule of threes, he manages to snag it, pull it towards him, and plays his tape. The recorded voice says, "You might be in the room that you die in. Up until now you've sat in the shadows, watching others live their lives. But what do voyeurs see when they look into the mirror? Are you going to watch yourself die, or do something about it?"
I don't get it.
God, he's helpless. Now Gordon wants to reveal what's on his, so he tosses the tape over to Adam, and he pops it in. And it's much of the same. Every day, he gives people the news that they'll die soon. Now he will be the cause of death. His aim in the game is to kill Adam, and he has until 6 o'clock to do it. The man in the middle had so much poison in his blood, his only option left was to shoot himself. There are ways to win this game hidden all around, but X marks the spot. But if Adam isn't dead by 6, Allison and Diana will die, and Gordon will be left in this room to rot. Gordon somehow enhances the audio and hears a whisper, "Follow your heart." He spots a heart on the toilet written in something, and Adam, bless his heart, decides to go fishing through the shitty toilet. But what did he find?
No solids.
Well, it sure isn't Silent Hill 2, that's for sure. But maybe you should have checked the tank first, where he finds a care package of 2 hacksaws. They divvy out the goods and start sawing away at their chains, and Adam tosses the bag into his tub bed. Unfortunately for Adam, he was a bit too eager, and he breaks his saw in about 10 seconds, and in a fit of rage he throws it, breaking a piece of mirror off. No luck for Gordon either, who tires out after not allocating enough points to stamina. But this does lead to a breakthrough. They aren't meant to cut through their chains, but their legs. Gordon might just know who's done this to them. He doesn't really know them, but he knows of them, saying the police thought he was him for a bit. And now we get to our cop drama portion of our feature film, led by Detective Tapp, played by Danny Glover, and Detective Singh, played by Ken Leung. They find the body of a 46-year-old man who died in this barbed wire cage. Apparently, he cut himself so deep that they found traces of stomach acid on the floor. In between being caught up on the story, we see inserts of crime scene photos flash onto the screen. While a very cool piece of direction, this was also a necessary measure because editor Kevin Grudert and James Wan found that they were missing some key shots of various scenes throughout the film, so they had to sort of piece together what they could in order to complete the visuals. And you know what? I think they did a perfect job of it too. It really adds to the grunginess of the film. All that aside, the guy in the cage is Paul, who Jigsaw says is a perfectly healthy, sane, middle-class male, about as standard as they come. Paul's only thing is that he's been cutting his wrists, to which Jigsaw alludes that he's just wanting attention. And, hey Jigsaw, maybe mind your business? Doesn't really seem like you need to interject here. But of course he did, and Paul woke up in this cage, and had to find his way through the labyrinth. We already see that he failed, but we didn't see this jigsaw piece carved out of his skin, and that's how he earned the moniker the Jigsaw Killer.
Actually, technically speaking, he's not really a murderer.
Man, shut up, Gordon. Even if he never directly killed anybody, he's still liable for their deaths, and would certainly get second-degree murder charges if brought to court. Next, we find the victim of yet another trap. This time it's Mark. And I think Mark ended up here because he was taking advantage of workers' comp, because Jigsaw says, "If you're so sick, why do I have so many photos of you up and about?" And because he's the ultra narc, he poisons Mark, and tells him that the antidote is in the safe. The safe combination's written on the wall, somewhere. He just has to find it, and he can go. Oh, and there's broken glass all over the ground. Oh, and he's smothered in flammable jelly, with his only light source being a candle. Surely he'll be able to get out of this one. Brrr. Also, Mark was played by the casting director's ex-husband, which is kind of funny. Anyways. They find the people that Jigsaw had been using to watch his subjects, and Detective Carey even found his penlight at the last crime scene. We see Dr. Gordon giving some insight on one of his patients with some of his staff. They have an inoperable tumor in the frontal lobe, and are on the steady decline health-wise. One of the hospital orderlies, Zepp, speaks up and says that the patient's name is John, and he's quite the interesting person. Just before he can resume, Dr. Gordon gets called to another part of the hospital and walks off. Why is she looking at him like that? Gordon returns to his office to find Detectives Tapp and Singh waiting for him. They're trying to get an alibi out of him, and considering it was his penlight that they found at the crime scene, it better be a damn good one. Well, he certainly was busy at the time, but it wasn't anything to do with the hospital. Fortunately for him, his story checks out, but Singh won't let him leave until he watches the testimony of one of the victims. And here we meet Amanda, played by the lovely Shawnee Smith. Actually, James Wan personally requested that Shawnee Smith be cast as Amanda, but mostly because he had a crush on her when he was younger. But she originally turned down the role, only accepting it after seeing their short film, which featured what would become her trap in the film. Even then, shooting was absolute hell for her. She got all of her scenes done in one day, while she battled the flu and 104-degree fever on top of it. But she powered through, and managed to make this originally small side character her very own. We hear her testimony over top of the events that led her here. She woke up in this green room with a metal device over her head. A TV to her left flicks on, showing a doll with red spirals on its cheeks. The puppet moves, and speaks in that familiar voice that we've become accustomed to throughout the film.
Hello, Amanda.
The device on her head is hooked into her jaw, and if not taken off in time, will rip her mouth open. This is the iconic reverse bear trap. And Shawnee Smith's face acting here absolutely sells Amanda's terror. She does so well in the role to make me feel what she feels. The key to release the device is hidden somewhere in the stomach of her dead cellmate. She shakes her head around in my absolute favorite shot of the movie. The sped up time lapse with the grungy industrial music to complement it works beautifully. Amanda stands up, pulling a pin, starting her 60-second timer. She walks over to the corpse, lifting up his shirt to find the giant question mark. Hey, wait, Amanda, he's not dead. Wait. Oh. So, as it turns out, he actually wasn't dead, but he was injected with enough opiates to essentially paralyze him. Which is good because Amanda really goes digging through him here. She finds the key and takes the device off, just as it was about to go off. Her reward is the puppet riding in on his little tricycle to tell her good job. How cute. Tap insinuates that Jigsaw picked Amanda because she's a drug addict, and Amanda breaks down into tears, managing to eke out just 3 words.
He helped me.
And given how the future installments played out, maybe even a bit more than we're led to believe. Now we're back in the bathroom because where else were they gonna go? But Adam's not buying any of Gordon's story, for some reason. He gets all freaked out and picks up the shard of mirror and threatens to cut Gordon with it, even though he can't reach him, so good luck with that. But in doing so, Adam realizes that the mirror is a two-way mirror. Someone's been watching them. Not just watching them, but filming them too. Well, whoever it is, they're donning the black gloves of a classic Argento film, so I respect it. And Gordon seems to respect it too.
To overcome something, you have to understand what a perfect engine it is. It's how you fight disease.
Oh, okay. That too. Adam questions how Gordon can be so calm and collected when his wife and daughter are out there in danger. And Gordon can't help but think of the last thing that he said to his daughter. We see her all tucked into bed for the night, but she wakes up. Whoa, nice clock, Gordon. His daughter wakes up her mom and says there's a man in my room. An instant tingle down my spine. I would never want to hear that. She says she'll go check it out, but the daughter wants Gordon to go get him. Unfortunately, he's hard at work doing something, but he makes some time to go check and gives the all clear. Just as they have a nice father-daughter moment, he gets a page and he has to leave. As he does, his daughter asks,
You're not gonna leave us, are you, Daddy?
And Gordon assures her that he won't leave them. But after a small argument with his wife, he, well, leaves them. The daughter's still up too, listening to their spat, something I'm sure many are accustomed to. Gordon tosses Adam his wallet so he can see his family, flipping through the various pictures of his daughter.
So where's the lucky wife?
What do you mean by that, Adam? Gordon says that there's another one in there of them all, and Adam looks through to find the other photo, but this one is of Gordon's family gagged and bound, with the word regards at the bottom with a little jigsaw piece. On the back it says, X marks the spot. Sometimes you see more with your eyes shut. Adam says it's not there and tosses the wallet back, keeping the planted photo with him, and hides it discreetly, aka he looks at it in plain sight behind a small piece of pipe. Diana's bedroom closet opens as she jolts up. From the closet, a voice says,
Good night, little girl.
And all we see is one of his eyes, akin to the scene from Black Christmas. The doors fly open, and Diana screams, leading her mother to run in. As she does, the man is now standing over her covered in a sheet, for some reason. Unless it's an homage to Michael Myers, I don't really see why he would have done this. And also, when would he have had the time to do so? Nevertheless, the Gordon girls are now tied up as the man checks their heart rates with the stethoscope. After he's done tormenting them, he peers out the window and gets caught by someone's camera. Someone's got their eye on Gordon's home, and it's Detective Tapp, still convinced that Lawrence has something to do with all this. All over his walls are newspaper clippings of articles and pictures, all to do with the Jigsaw case. As he sits down to enjoy his scheduled programming, he says under his breath,
I never should have let you go.
And much like Shawnee Smith, Danny Glover managed to film all of his scenes in just 2 days, which, given how much he had to do here, is pretty nuts. Also, check out this transition. I promise this is like the most normal transition you'll see in the series. Tapp brings Gordon home from the station, and as he gets out, Gordon very awkwardly tries to comment on Amanda's story, but like, what are you supposed to say in the situation? Tapp returns back to the station to study Amanda's tape some more. Everyone else is headed out for the night, and Singh invites Tapp out for a drink. Singh offers a bit of half banter, half advice, seeing that Tapp is far too obsessed with his work, and maybe he should just find a partner to spend some of his time with. The two laugh it off, and Singh heads out. Just as he does, Tapp sees something on the VHS. Somehow, he managed to enhance the picture enough to clearly show a gang mark in the background, somewhere both Tapp and Singh are familiar with, and that territory only spanned about 4 blocks worth of the city. Tapp also somehow manages to enhance the audio enough to hear a faint fire alarm in the back. This police technology must be getting really good these days. They use the info they gather to trace back the fire alarm to 213 Stygian Street. Stygian was actually the title of James Wan's first film, which won an award, and also happened to star a certain Lee Winnell. Unfortunately, it's not available to watch anywhere that I've found so far. Tap and Sing pull up to the old mannequin factory in the dead of night. No warrant, no backup, just raw dogging it. As they trudge through the warehouse, they come across a work area with some red sheets over various objects. One of which being a diorama for the bathroom trap. It must be for a school project or something. Under sheet number 2, we have the doll that Tap has become obsessed with. And something fun about this puppet, named Billy, even though they never call him that in the series. He was created by James Wan himself, and not even a dressed up pre-made puppet that he found. No, he built all of them by hand, using paper mache, clay, ping pong balls, and paint, as well as the paper towel rolls for the structural support. Also, another nod to Dario Argento. This time it's his 1975 classic Deep Red. Sitting next to our old pal Billy is this nasty looking pig mask. Before they get to check out anymore, sheet number 3 starts moving and screaming. They uncover it to reveal a man tied up with tape over his mouth in one of Jigsaw's newest traps. Unfortunately, before they can help him, the elevator starts coming up, and Tap convinces Sing that they should let him come up, see what he's gonna do, and see what he looks like. So they cover the guy and Billy back up, and hide out and back, waiting for their time to strike. A man in a black and red cloak gingerly enters and greets Jeff, the man in the chair. He says not to cry, he's given his life a purpose. He's a test subject for something greater than himself. Tap and Sing decide that this is the perfect moment to jump out of cover and take aim. The man puts his hands up, stomping on the button at the bottom of the trap to begin its timer. This gives Tap and Sing a choice. They have 20 seconds to find the key that'll save the man's life. Unfortunately, there's probably about 50 keys on this chain. Tap continues to aim the shotgun at Jigsaw, who simply asks, "What's more important to you, officer? Arresting me or the life of a human being?" And you know what? He's got a point. Tap has become obsessed with Jigsaw, to the point where he could be willing to sacrifice an innocent life to ensure his capture. His professional mind has been warped by Jigsaw's reign of terror. As the drill bits edge closer to the man's neck, Tap ignored Sing's pleas for help, instead getting Jigsaw on his knees to arrest him. He calls him a sick bastard, and honestly, read him to filth. Maybe he knows a bit more than he believes he does. Jigsaw truly is sick from the disease eating away at his insides. Sick of the people who don't appreciate their blessings. Sick of those who scoff at the suffering of others. Sing resorts to his true cop nature and just pulls out his gun, shooting the device, which manages to pull Tap's attention off Jigsaw for a split second. This gives Jigsaw a chance to show off his Assassin's Creed cosplay, unsheathing a blade that was concealed in his sleeve, slicing Tap's throat, and making a break for it. Sing manages to shoot him once, but he flees down the stairs. Sing begins his pursuit, accompanied by this badass chase theme. He manages to catch up with Jigsaw, shooting him from down the hall. Now, I'm no expert here, but if Fortnite has taught me anything, the pump from this range will do maybe 4 damage if it connects. But this is movie land, so Jigsaw falls to the ground. Sing pushes forward, but he obviously hasn't cleared many cracked ends, as he forgets to check around every corner and above every doorway for traps, and he trips off the wire to set off his own 21-gun salute. Tap refuses to give up his pursuit, and he heads downstairs to help. As Sing's lifeless body falls flat, Jigsaw rises from the ground, and he stumbles out. Tap sees his partner, the closest thing in his life that he has to a friend at this point, in a pool of his own blood, dead. He goes to scream, but with his throat cut, he can't muster much. He's hopeless. We again see him back at his wall of obsession. His wounds have healed, but his mind hasn't. Every day, he's replayed that night. He almost had him, now he's chasing breadcrumbs, and partnerless. Tap wants nothing more than to close this case, for the people, for Sing, and for his own sanity. We see the man holding the Gordon family hostage, watching his subjects on the monitor, while the clock ticks along, and it's nearly 6 o'clock. Gordon searches around for an X, while Adam looks at the photo he took from Gordon's wallet, very conspicuously, looking like a kid trying to text in class. And he's got the attitude to match too, getting real snippy with Gordon.
What do you want me to do? I'm on a leash.
All Gordon wants to do is to work together, not be left in the dark with everything. Speaking of left in the dark, hey Gordon, hit the lights. Perfect, X marks the spot. Gordon busts open the tiles to reveal a hidey hole with a small box. He uses the key from his envelope to open the box, revealing a flip phone, a couple of cigs, and a note for Gordon. The cigarettes are harmless. Smoking is only poisonous when it ends in bloodshed. He doesn't need a gun to kill Adam. In a smart decision, Lawrence tries to phone the police, but it doesn't work. Maybe Jigsaw ran out of minutes.
This was meant to receive calls, not make them.
Oh, that works too. Somehow this triggers a memory for Lawrence. He remembers walking to his car after work and felt like he was being watched. He gets out of his car to try and make a call using the random phone in his parking garage. We see someone exit the backseat of his car via the convex mirror, Lawrence unaware as he tries to sell, which has no service. Hey, the pig mask is in action, this time with an all-red piece to complement it. They attack Lawrence, and the next thing he knows, he's waking up in the bathroom with Adam. Now Gordon's become paranoid of Adam. What else isn't he telling him? How did he know to turn off the lights? Adam isn't happy he's being questioned, so he flings the Polaroid of the Gordon girls over to Lawrence. And this is the beginning of his mental break. The calm and collected Lawrence lets his emotions slip for a brief moment before recomposing himself. He looks back to the box, back to the note from Jigsaw. He remembers the dead man in the middle's blood was filled with poison, and dips the end of one of the cigarettes in. He turns off the lights and whispers to Adam to play along. The audio of the camera can't pick up their whispers, so the man watching them is left in the dark too. When he turns the lights back on, Gordon offers Adam a cigarette, and throws him the non-poisoned one. He lights it up, savoring that sweet, sweet cancer. Maybe a little too much, as he begins choking. Well, fake choking. Really, really bad fake choking. Gordon celebrates for the camera, begging for his family to be released. Unfortunately for Gordon, Adam gets shocked back to life, so they're back to square one, sawing away at their chains. But now Adam's memory's jogged, and he remembers how he ended up in this actual shithole. He got home to his shithole apartment, and goes into his red room, where he develops a photo he took of Lawrence out and about. Adam's a photographer, putting the meaning behind Jigsaw's message for him at the beginning. Adam wakes up sometime later to his place completely dark. He must have forgot to pay the bill. Even his flashlight's not working, so he picks up his camera to use the flash to move about in the dark, in reference to Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window. As he moves toward the kitchen, he hears Billy laugh from behind him, and gets a nice candid of him. How sweet. Hey, whoa, stop! Also, nice Black Panther Party poster, Adam. He hears a noise from the closet, and just as he goes to flash the light, he is attacked by the pig mask. Now, I'm not saying he got what he deserved for hurting Billy, but... The phone rings, and Gordon answers, hearing Diana on the other end. Gordon reassures her that everything will be okay, not knowing that the man from her room is holding the phone for her. Now Allison has the phone, telling Lawrence not to trust Adam. Adam knows Lawrence, and he knew all about him before today. And it's true. When Lawrence felt like he was being watched in the parking structure, he was. It was Adam. The story he told Adam about going to work was a lie. Adam's even got the receipts, pulling out a stack of developed photos from the black bag that had the saws in it. Adam's not just any old photographer, he gets paid to take pictures of people who cheat on their spouse. He followed Lawrence to a shady motel, where he went up to meet with his colleague that was looking at him from before. She was the one that paged him when he was putting his daughter to bed. But Gordon doesn't go through with it, at least not this time, and goes to leave. As he does, the hotel's phone rings, which makes him a bit paranoid. The woman answers it and says it's for Lawrence. On the other end of the line, someone says,
I know what you're doing, Doctor.
And hangs up. That's when he leaves to the car park, and we know what happened from there. But who paid Adam to follow him? Well, it was none other than Detective Tapp, of course. Well, former detective. He got discharged after Singh's death and his subsequent mental breakdown. Because why would they help one of their own with his mental illnesses caused by the job when they could just fire him and forget about it? Gordon scolds Adam for invading his privacy and helping Tapp, saying that Adam's not a victim of this game, he's a part of it. And look, Lawrence buddy, I get it, you're scared and you're upset, but you're kind of being a dick here. Adam's got to take money from wherever he can get it. Not everybody has a comfy loft with a cool ass clock and a safe income within one of the top tax brackets. Why does Gordon even care if Adam caught him cheating?
I did not cheat on her!
I don't give a crap if you covered yourself in peanut butter and had a 15-hooker gangbang. That's what I'm saying. The reality for Gordon sets in. His perfect little life has been uprooted, and he's to blame. His family's not waiting around though, as Allison begins trying to get out of her constraints. Adam looks through more of the photos, and finds that he caught someone at Gordon's house that wasn't supposed to be there. It was Zepp, the hospital orderly. We have seen glimpses of him throughout, but I'm not sure if it's a case like that scene from Sleepaway Camp where we weren't really supposed to see them in high definition enough to notice that he was the one behind the kidnapping. But anyways. Now that Gordon knows who's behind it all, he will make sure that he pays. Unfortunately for him, it's already 6 o'clock, and Adam is still alive, so he's failed his test. Zepp goes to get the Gordon girls, now that time has run out, and they all call Lawrence to tell him that he failed. However, Zepp didn't catch that Allison managed to free herself, and she fights back, grabbing the gun from Zepp. As Allison and Gordon hash things out, Diana calls out, distracting Allison just enough for Zepp to fight for the gun. The gunshot's heard, and all Lawrence can do is cry. Luckily, Tap's obsession and belief that Gordon was Jigsaw has actually been a blessing in disguise. He hears the gunshot go off and rushes over to check it out. Allison stabs Zepp with a pair of scissors from her dresser and goes to get Diana out of there right as Tap busts in. Tap and Zepp have their epic shootout, but when his gun jams, Tap turns into an all-pro linebacker, tackling Zepp. Unfortunately, Zepp plays like he's straight from the 70s, breaking a vase over Tap's head. This gives Zepp enough time to get up and search for the Gordon girls. But when he doesn't find them, he hobbles away, with Tap in hot pursuit. And when I say hot pursuit, I mean just look at this chase scene. This is peak cinema. In the meantime, Lawrence gets shocked and lies unconscious on the floor. This freaks him out. He even screams, "I need you." And I've never seen anybody really talk about this line. Through every cunty line delivery, every emotion that is shown throughout, he knows that he can't do this alone. He needs Gordon. Luckily for him, Gordon's still alive, but he's out of options. The phone rings once more. His family needs him, and he can't help them. The roles reverse. Adam's the one trying to stay calm at this time, while Gordon's at his breaking point. Adam says that he has a family too. He doesn't see them, which he admits fault to. He wants to change that. Lawrence uses his shirt as a tourniquet and begins sawing his leg off. Anything to escape and see his family. All of this while Tap chases Zepp down through the labyrinth of halls in the old building. Tap gets a hold of Zepp, and as he tries to wrestle the gun away, Zepp slips him, shooting Tap in the process. Now, Tap lays dead in a pool of his own blood, like the man in the bathroom. Lawrence, now freed from his shackle, crawls over to the man's body, grabbing the revolver and putting the bullet from his envelope in. He takes aim at Adam, after everything they've gone through in the 8 hours they've known each other. Adam cries out that he wants to live, but Gordon shoots. And then he cries. He wants to see his family safe. And they are. They found asylum with what I assume to be one of their neighbors. Zepp enters the bathroom, only to find Lawrence remaining. Lawrence crawls over to him, repeatedly saying, and he grabs the gun, trying to shoot Zepp. But he used his only bullet on Adam. Unfortunately, he was too late. The clock had already hit 6. Zepp has to kill Gordon.
It's the rules.
As Gordon accepts his fate, Adam attacks Zepp, prying his gun away, and finally finishing him off with the lid of the toilet tank. All of his anger and aggression is let out here, and it's not until Lawrence crawls over and intercepts him that his rampage stops. Whether intended or not, Lawrence only shot Adam in the shoulder, far from a fatal wound. But Lawrence has to go get help if they both want to survive. Adam clutches on, begging him not to leave. Lawrence promises that he'll bring somebody back, and he crawls out. Adam checks Zepp's pockets for a key, anything of use to help him out. Instead, all he finds is a tape player, and he hits play, hearing that familiar voice come through.
Hello, Mr. Handel, or as they called you around the hospital, Zepp.
Zepp wasn't acting as Jigsaw. He was playing his own game, like Adam and Lawrence were. Jigsaw poisoned Zepp, and the only way to get the antidote was to kill the Gordon family. Adam pieces it all together now. As he looks up, the dead man in the middle of the room gets up, peeling his gunshot wound makeup off. He tells Adam the key to his chain is in the bathtub, or at least it was before it went down the drain at the beginning. He's looking at Jigsaw himself, John Kramer. We were actually fed small bits of information that he was the real Jigsaw throughout. Like when Gordon was going over his scans at the hospital with the others, and Zepp noted he's a very interesting man, we can see 2 things. He was drawing up a design for what looks to be the reverse bear trap, just in plain sight for everybody to see. And in his hand, he clutches Dr. Gordon's penlight, which would later be found at the scene of the murder of Mark. Adam grabs for Zepp's gun, but John shocks him, causing him to throw it to the side. John walks out, remarking,
Most people are so ungrateful to be alive, but not you. Not anymore.
He kills the lights, only being illuminated by the green of the hallway, partially obscured by smoke. As Adam screams, all John has to say is,
Game over.
and slams the door on Adam, leaving him in the dark, alone and helpless. All we're left with is the iconic score, Hello Zepp, created by Charlie Clouser, and Adam's terrified screams. And that's the story of the first Saw movie. It's an enduring classic nearly 2 decades in. The second Adam presses play on the tape recorder in the last 5 minutes, basically my whole world stops, and I'm taken back to my first viewing of the movie. I know the twist while I'm watching, but I'm still amazed, and I will always think that that's the best ending in the history of film. It's a depressing ending, fitting of the setting. We never see the outside in this film, except in a couple irrelevant glimpses. It's a touch so subtle that you never really grasp how effective it is. There's no sunlight, no blue skies, no happy moments. It almost always feels like it's late at night, even though there are clear hints that the story takes place over many days and nights. The claustrophobia of filming an entire movie inside mostly decrepit spaces, with green and fluorescent light, and filth and blood all over, is one of the many movie tricks that most viewers probably don't even notice as a part of how the film utterly immerses them in its web. When Tap is watching Dr. Gordon's house, he isn't watching the outside directly. Rather, he sits inside of a windowless, dank apartment, watching the window from a TV connected to a security camera. When Tap and Zep chase each other, the cars are completely immersed in fog. We don't get a happy ending. Not many people really do. James Wan managed to ground the film in this absurd reality where happiness isn't guaranteed. So, when you do find it, appreciate it before it's snatched away. Thank you for watching.